will make America great again. Thank you, Arizona. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Far distant land of common sense, a place where we all once lived. You'll find the Conservative College with Professor Toto. It is here where the foundational principles of our great republic are still taught and true patriots are still educated in the hallowed halls of this school of hope. Just like the iconic puppy from The Wizard of Oz, who found great joy in pulling back the curtain on the lies of the wizard, so does Professor Toto. Grab your seats and welcome to the Conservative College. Class begins now.
Right now. Hello, everybody. Wake up, America. Wake up, world. Wake up, MAGA. It's time for class tonight. It's 8 o'clock Central on the beautiful Gulf Coast of Mississippi, just between New Orleans and Biloxi. And it is me, once again, your favorite professor, your lovable, fluffy, friendly neighborhood professor, reporting for duty every Tuesday night, every Thursday night, for 4 years solid. Yeah, 4 years, right here at the not-so-golden microphone. It's more black. So there you have it. But anyway, we try with what we have. I hope you're having a wonderful evening out there. We're waiting for all of the students of the Conservative College to find a beanbag, pop a squat, come in, high five your fellow student, because this place is sacred. It's one of the few places left on planet Earth where people like me and you, the weirdos, the deplorables, are able to gather safely, secretly, and clandestinely to once again observe all things of the great republic that is faltering all around us. But there is a people, and I am glad tonight to know some of those people that love this great nation, love the great republic. All kidding aside, welcome. I hope you've had a great day. I want everyone right now to do me a huge favor. It's going to be a great night. Not a great fight. I said a great night. It's going to be a marvelous night here in the land of common sense, where we're trying to stave off the diseases of communism, socialism, fascism, and every other ism out there. It's going to be a great night. Hit the share button. Do better than that. Put it in all your groups right now. Help us get the word out tonight. It's going to be a great night. It really, really is, all joking aside. And I'm going to tell you all about it here in just a moment. But I need you to do me a favor. Right now on Roku, we have almost 8,000 viewers on Roku. So I want to say hello to Roku tonight. If you don't have our Roku channel, you can download it on Roku. Just look for First Harvest Ministries, and you can go there and watch us live on the big screen every Tuesday, Thursday night, and then you can watch the replays there. I'm so excited to announce that we have made the purchase of our own app, the TOTO app. It'll be available on Android and Apple just any day now. And I'm so excited to get our push notifications back. You know, when YouTube banned us last year, we lost nearly 500,000 of our subscribers that we were able to notify when we went live. So it really hurt us. They definitely have the power. Maybe me and my guests can talk about that tonight. But anyway, we lost that great tool. But we're fixing to have it back, and we're so excited. We do have a new app on the way. I paid for it. I cried when I paid the bill this week. It was not cheap, but it is going to really advance what we're trying to do here at the Conservative College. Over on Rumble, I'm fixing to give y'all a grade over on Rumble. Let me see how many likes we have, and I pray to God y'all pass the test over there tonight. Do you mean to tell me almost 2,000 viewers on Rumble and 152 likes? Bah, not good. That's just so not good. That's just not good at all. Would everybody on Rumble do it right now? Could you just do it like as a choir, the tenor section, the alto section, the sopranos? Hit that like button, all in perfect harmony. Get us up in the algorithm. We were number 4 the other night, ahead of Newsmax. So that's pretty good. We're thankful for all of you. Hello, YuckTube. Yes, I have snuck back on YuckTube until they find me. But we have several hundred of you on YuckTube tonight. Thank you for watching. Well, we're getting ready to light it off up in here tonight. We have a great class tonight. One I'm really excited about. I have a guest lecturer, a guest professor that's going to join me tonight. The only problem is he is from the Empire and I'm from the Jedis, but that's all right. We have to meet up on the Death Star tonight. It's going to be wonderful. Maybe he thinks he's from the Jedi and I'm from the Empire, but one of us is from one place, one of us is from another, and we are going to meet up in the middle. I want to give you the inspiration for tonight's class. Before I do, quick announcement. I'll be leaving in the morning at 8 o'clock Central, driving 7 hours to Jacksonville, Florida, where I will be preaching tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and then Saturday at 12 o'clock. We would love to meet our friends, our fans, our followers there in Jacksonville at the Hampton Inn on Southside Boulevard, 4415 Southside Boulevard. We're planning a new church congregation there. We were just in California last week, in Texas, planning these new congregations. And so we're going to be there, Jacksonville, Florida, tomorrow night. If you live near there, 2 to 3 hours, get in the car. I'd love to hug your neck, give you a high five, look you in the eye, and thank you for your faithful support. We have been here 4 solid years, faithfully. And we have met the greatest people in the world that's part of this movement, and we want to meet you. That's tomorrow night and Saturday. So that is really the only announcement that I'm going to talk about tonight, because I have a guest, and I do not want to be rude to my guest. I want to talk to you about my guest tonight. I normally don't have guests on my show because I love to teach. I love to explain why I believe the way I believe. But something happened night before last that really sort of shook me to my core. In the land of the free and the home of the brave, one of our most cherished rights is to be able to say whatever you want to say. That is what made America. You know, our European forefathers, when they came here, they were subjects of the crown. What does that mean? They were not free men. They were subjects of the crown. They weren't free. America is the land of the free. You are free to be stupid. You're free to be dumb and say it out loud. You're free to do that. And we have people like me that say stuff real loud. We have a following, and it triggers people. And unfortunately, now in the land of the free, you're expected not to trigger people, as if it's your responsibility now not to be triggering. The only problem is everybody's triggered by something. And so there is another man that is real loud, that says obnoxious things, if you will. This man, I'm not talking about my guest tonight. I'm talking about none other than Pastor Greg Locke. Pastor Greg Locke is a Christian, and he says a lot of things that are triggering to a lot of people. Pastor Locke and I have had our own disagreements. So what I'm saying tonight is not because of Pastor Locke himself, as much as it is that it's the principle. I believe in principles. And Greg Locke, 2 nights ago, this is what happened at his home. A man that says what he believes, and someone drove by his home and unloaded 40 shells through his home, and that's his child's bed right there. That's his child's bed. And this is his home, the wall in his child's bed, in his child's bedroom. And this is the vehicle of Pastor Greg Locke, and the front window of Pastor Greg Locke's truck. I never dreamed I would see this in America. There was another preacher that was killed for what he believed in, Martin Luther King Jr. And the anger in this nation is palpable. It is literally to the point now where at my own church, we have protesters show up almost every week at my church, where people are entering a house of worship. You know, an American fundamental principle, a right to gather and worship however you see fit, to believe in whatever God, strange as it may be, you have that right. But every week at our own church, we have people with bullhorns screaming in our people's faces. And hey, it's on both sides. I mean, we had one of ours that went in Nancy Pelosi's house and tried to kill her husband. You know, I mean, we got, it's on both sides. It's crazy, okay? And I just think that we've got to have a ceasefire. Not a stop. We don't stop the battle, but something's got to give. And it was at that point that this gentleman reached out to me on text. We've talked before. He's one of my antagonists. Every few days I'll get a little text from him about, Donald Trump, and he's goading me, and sometimes I take the bait, sometimes I don't, but most of the time I do. And we just have this friendship. Yeah, believe it or not, we have this, well, we'll call it a buddyship. How about that? And he invited me on his show, his podcast, a few months back, and I really gained a lot of respect for this flaming liberal. And he had me on his show and showed me the utmost respect. He disagrees with me completely. And but we developed an understanding, if you will. And so about the time that Greg Locke was being shot at, Patrick Reilly and I were texting, and I invited him to be on my show tonight. And why did I do that? Because I want me and him to practice a forgotten art in America, the art of debate without the hate. That is the title of tonight's class, How to Debate Without the Hate. Now, make no mistake about it, Patrick Reilly is ultra liberal. And so he's not coming in here as, parlaying to our side. He is totally on the other side of the boxing match, and I'm on the other. But after the boxing match tonight, you'll see us shake hands and part ways, and hopefully, just hopefully, take a moment to let the other speak and listen, and not be afraid to say, okay, you got a point there. Point, gotcha. Now let's go to the next battle, the next round, and allow you, the viewer, to listen to both sides. I want to talk to Patrick tonight about several things. And I really want Patrick to help me and you understand how a liberal thinks about certain things. We're going to talk about several different things going on in the nation right now. And we're going to listen to both sides tonight. And so without any further ado, I hope you've hit the share button. Yes, you have. The numbers are going up. We are going to welcome tonight into the Conservative College our very own liberal friend, Patrick Reilly. Welcome tonight, Patrick. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks, Shane. I sure do appreciate it. And thank you for the introduction. I definitely appreciate that.
Amen. I'm glad you're here, buddy. You're looking good. What are you doing?
Oh, I don't know, just my usual.
You're working out? You look
yeah,
good.
working out a little bit.
Okay. I'm working, but it's not out.
Hey man, you're doing what you do, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy. So you've got first of all, let me give Patrick a proper introduction. Patrick is the host of a podcast called Based and Peeled. And I went and did a little research on Based and Peeled today. And I want to show you how far apart me and Patrick are. Because I want everybody out there to know tonight that we don't have a fake conservative and a fake liberal. We're miles apart. Let me show you something that I pulled off of his podcast. I want to read it to you guys. Based and Peeled. So Christian nationalism, which happens to be me, by the way, is a boil on the I'm a preacher, Patrick, of a tumor on the taint of America. This podcast will highlight the lowlights of charlatan preachers and religious right influencers. I have no idea who he's talking about, by the way. None. Religious right influencers as they grift their way into our politics. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Patrick Reilly. Everybody give him a hand clap tonight. Welcome. You're safe here, by the way, my friend. You know what? We're going to talk about some Christian nationalism tonight. I believe it'd be a great conversation to have. I really do. So do this. Let's start off with just say hello to the folks. I tell you what, while you do that, I don't know if are you able to see my chat box on your screen there?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
see some of the chat. I think that look, I what I would say is that I really do, having grown up in a Christian household, and we'll talk about that soon. Um, I I don't want to offend Christians,
Yes, sir.
because that's my whole family, and I mean it's my whole family. So
You don't want to make
so
mama
I
mad.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's thing. So anyway, we can talk about whatever you want to talk
Perfect.
about, but I just want to I want your audience to understand that I respect them, and that I'm not trying to give disrespect to people who are Bible believing Christians, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Great. I thank you for that. And I've got everybody's telling you hello here. First of all, let me pause. Everyone's saying my volume is way too low. So let me, they're saying you're a little hot if you want to pull back on your volume just a little bit there. Okay, so I'm getting people that saying my volume's way too low. So guys, I turned my mic up. Let's see if that helps any. We want to get it right before we jump into this. Let's see. Volume sounds good. Leah Joseph over in Michigan. By the way, love Michigan. And we just got a new poll out today. It looks like Donald Trump is up 1 point in Michigan. Be good there, Patrick. Be good there, sir. All right. Patrick, let's start off. Let's talk about the Greg Locke deal real quick. Why don't you just give your thoughts on that? And we'll start with that. How about that?
Well, sure. I can say that I've been to Greg's church, back in early 2023, and he and everybody, gave me, total access to be able to go ahead and talk to everybody that was, who was there, and
Right.
I had a really interesting time, just being around everybody at Global Vision Church,
Did
and
you meet
he was
Greg?
cool. I did, and Greg was very nice to me, and so I can't say that I had a negative experience with Greg, because I didn't. He was cool with me, and everything was fine. But I can say that I just it drives me crazy that somebody had the temerity to shoot up his house. Like, I mean, I look, I don't like Greg. I don't like
Right.
his ideology. I don't like his
Right.
theology. Right.
Right.
But that does not give you the right to go ahead and shoot up his house, man. And the idea that his little girls, his daughters, could have been hurt. Like, I can't even tell you how it makes me angry. I can't say the words because we're on a Christian
Right.
broadcast,
Right.
but you understand what I mean.
I do.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So
It is. Thank you for saying that. And I'm fair. I say it on the other side as well. It's just something's got to give. And let me ask you: Did you grow up liberal or conservative? What was your background?
well, so I grew up in a very Catholic,
Okay.
so my father taught Catholicism at the Catholic high school that I went to, right? So I mean, you can't get. I was an altar boy. You can't
Oh,
get
you was
more
an altar
Catholic.
boy.
I You can't get more Catholic than I did, than I was.
Yeah.
My father taught there at LaSalle Academy, and his father taught at LaSalle Academy. So there really isn't any, more
Right.
Catholic group that you could find. But I don't think I ever believed,
Okay. Got you. That's
but
fair.
that's just me. I don't
Right.
think I ever believed. So
Okay.
you asked the question, that's the answer. Yeah.
No, that's great. No, so it was never. In other words, so I'm assuming they taught you principles like, you know, what you call Christian nationalism, or they taught you these things, but it just didn't resonate in you. You didn't resonate with that mentality, correct?
Well, I think that Christianity, like the belief that Jesus Christ is
Okay.
the Messiah, is I didn't have a problem with that. I just I had a problem with everything else. Like the gospel of Jesus Christ to me is, yeah, I can live with that. That sounds good to me. But
so you identify as a Christian in that regard.
When I was a kid, yeah.
When you was a kid, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, sure.
So that part resonated with you. When do you feel like you started saying, no, I'm good? In other words, was college or what?
I think it was probably in my later teens. I started reading like the letters of Paul, and this is one of the things that I think a lot of people who identify as Christians don't actually read the Bible, and I
agree. Hey, somebody give me and him a point. Hold on, we're taking score. We agree. 1 point. We agree on. Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if you start agreeing, if you start reading Paul, you read Ephesians, you read Thessalonians, and things of this nature. I don't know, like. He starts saying a lot of things that Jesus never did.
Okay, I agree.
And so I'm not sure, like, are we saying, honestly, that Jesus didn't get around to saying things that he should have said? Well, I'm not buying that. You know what I mean?
you saw discrepancies in Paul's writings and what Jesus said.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Got you. There's a big movement out there today in the Messianic movement that actually believes that Paul was a false apostle. And so because they can't line up what Jesus said with what
How do
Paul
you feel
said.
about that?
Oh, man. So here's how we feel about it. We do believe that Paul was a true apostle. And we're a little bit different. I don't know if you know any of our theology, but we're not your typical Christian church, okay? Meaning that we believe that Paul is one of the most misunderstood. The Apostle Peter, in one of his writings, gave a warning about Paul, okay? He said, be careful when reading Paul's writings.
In Acts.
Yep,
yes,
that's right. Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
He warned everybody, be careful when you read Paul, because if you're not careful, you're going to twist what Paul is saying, and it's going to be for your own destruction. And most people don't know, Patrick, that Paul had to go to Jerusalem. Yeah.
Yes. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yep. For an interview with Peter.
James
and John.
Really.
That's
was really a humiliation.
It was.
It was a humiliation of Paul to actually say, hey, you're not doing this correctly. We're going to show you how to do it right. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and look, back and forth. Speak in as you feel. As long as it's respectful, we're good. So Paul, for 3 years, people don't realize, and of course some of my red meat people are waiting for us to talk politics, but we'll start right here. Paul was a failure in his ministry for 3 solid years. Nobody would accept him in any of the churches. As a matter of fact, they had to put him over a wall to hide him. I mean, he was just a total failure.
I love the fact that you know this, like, because so many people don't pay attention to this.
Oh, some people watching right now is ready to turn me off. Like, what are you talking about? Paul was a failure, Yeah. But so Paul realized if he did not go to Jerusalem and submit to the bishops and the leaders of the church, the James, John, the brother of Jesus, then what would happen was what he was saying, because Paul was one of the most, Paul to me was the most brilliant writer in the New Testament because he had been trained under Gamaliel. He was very intelligent. And sometimes intelligent people say things and they don't have time to explain what they're saying. In other words, they're expecting a few intelligent people to pick up on what they're saying. And Paul wrote that way. And when he got to Jerusalem, they said, hey, Paul, people say that you're saying this and that against the Torah, against what we believe. And the good news is, Patrick, he was found not guilty of those charges, right? And was given the right hand of fellowship by Peter, James, and John, and all the elders at Jerusalem. And then what did they do? They wrote him a letter and gave him their approval because they interviewed him for days. They said, this is, and once they was secure that he did believe like them, but he was saying it different. And that's a problem me and you as podcasters run into. It's, you can clip something I say, and you've done it a few times on your show, and I can clip something you say, and without an explanation, you can look like a bigot. You can look like a racist. You can look like a wacky liberal, And so I believe Paul was a victim back then of soundbiting. I truly do.
I can understand that. I think that the deal with Paul is that almost nobody wants to actually clip, stuff that Paul says unless it has to do with homosexuals. And they're like, okay, right. We'll take Romans and we'll say, this is that.
Would you repeat that? Repeat that. My hearing went out. Say what you said about homosexuals.
No, I think that there are several, situations where Paul, said homosexuals are wrong or whatever.
Correct.
And I don't care about that,
Right.
But I'm just saying that there are situations where people have taken Paul, you could say it's out of context, but I actually don't think it's out of context. I think that's exactly what he meant. But is Paul, why should we take Paul the same way that we take Luke?
That's a great question.
The fact of the matter is that the man that wrote Paul and the man that wrote Luke are the same guy. So we understand. I mean, you went to Bible school. Right. I've researched your whole thing. You're a theologian, right? So damn well. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be. But I mean, you're enough of a theologian to understand that the man who wrote Paul wrote Luke, and most of it. My father is a theologian, and I was obviously raised by one, so I understand that those two guys are the same one. So if we accept that, then we have to accept the fact that Paul is a gospel writer, right?
Sure.
I mean, I don't think that Paul is legitimate. I just don't.
Sure. And I wrote a book called Presenting Paul, where the entire book, I took everything Paul said and made it line up with what Yeshua said. Sure. Because I truly believe, let me give you an example, Patrick. I can say something. Sometimes I say things, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, ratings are important in mine and your business, right? Okay. All right. Sometimes I say something and I don't explain it. I won't get on Jumanji lips right now. I'll deal with that one in a few minutes.
We can talk about that later.
But I say things at times like Liz Cheney, different people. And to be honest with you, I'm really hoping that you will mistake what I've said, and it will drive you to study what I said and to research it. And I really believe that Paul wrote in such a way, because when I study Paul, for example, Paul seems to be against the law, correct? Okay, he's always.
That's why they brought him back. You're right.
Absolutely. Everything anti-law. But here's the problem with that. When you understand that in the days of Paul, there were 3 different laws. There was the no homos in Greek, which means the eternal law of Yahweh God. Then you had the Roman law, but then you had the Pharisaical law. Okay? Paul was an enemy of the Pharisaical law because it
But he was a Sadducee in the first place. So, like, how do you square that?
Before his conversion
Right.
to Christianity, if you will.
And
in other words, he was the greatest of all Sadducees. Go ahead.
Right. Well, I think that the execution of Saint Stephen was, where Paul, finally became a Christian. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, it was on the road to Damascus whenever Yahshua.
Right, when he fell off his ass, and we understand that. But which is funny.
You think it started working on him at that point? I got you.
But Saint Stephen actually,
right.
And the thing is, the thing with Stephen that we should all understand, and which is kind of wild, is that he was the first one to say that Jesus was the Son of Man, right? He was the first one to say that out loud as a Hebrew at the time, and he got his head cut off for it. You know what I mean? So one of the things that drives me crazy is when people say, "Well, the whole idea of Jesus is ridiculous." I say, "Well, I don't know. A guy actually got his head cut off because he was convinced that this was actually truth." Yeah. Now, I happen to be an atheist, but all of my family is Christian, and I find it difficult to tell them that, hey, you're wrong about this thing, when there is evidence of all these people just saying, hey, you know what? This actually is true. So maybe I could be wrong. Like, that's the thing about my atheism, is that I know that I might be wrong.
Well, and you weren't the only one. Your main protagonist, Darwin. I mean, even he admitted, I may be wrong. Okay, and I think that's healthy for us all to admit, is I may be wrong. I've always said man's greatest fear, Patrick, man's greatest fear, my greatest fear, and your greatest fear is being wrong. And here's why. If we're wrong about anything, that opens up a whole can that we could be wrong about everything. And now our entire worldview falls apart. Okay. So therefore, what do? We can't be wrong about anything. And that's where we cannot discuss things anymore. And I want to go back to a point you made about Stephen. When I'm talking to an atheist, and I have many friends that are atheists, my mother, went to college, got messed up for a long time, was atheist, and now we've brought her back to the fold. But anyway, I say, 12 men either are the biggest fools that ever lived in the history of the world, okay, to get their necks cut off when they could have just denied Christ and said, you know what, hold on. We you know what? We didn't. Now, I didn't see nobody rise from the dead. No. You know what? I made all that up. Can I have my life back, please? I'll go on back to my wife, and we'll have a good life. All 12 of them rushed. They rushed. The Apostle Paul was in jail. They offered him his liberty, and he wrote to Timothy. I mean, we have the original letters. He wrote to Timothy and said, "I am ready to offer myself for the gospel of Christ." In other words, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That would have been a good time to jump off the Christian ship, So,
Right.
So I just believe 12. I know in a court of law in the United States of America, witnesses will prove a case, and there was 12 men that gave their life.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a Christian. I don't think there's anything crazy about believing that Jesus was the Christ, that he was the Messiah. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's not my personal belief, but that's okay. That it's yours. I just don't want to have,
Okay. Let's go to the next step, because I believe this leads us into something that's your favorite subject, one of your favorite subjects, and it's I'm a Christian nationalist, and you're not. Okay,
Right.
I want to talk about that tonight. I really want to have. I don't want to have a gotcha moment with you. Honestly, I just want people watching. There's close to 20,000 people. I mean, that's almost as much as CNN has now. But anyway, watching us tonight, and I mean, I'm seeing the comments. People are saying this conversation is amazing, because it's so hard to get people to just talk. Okay, Christian nationalism. Now, you said it's okay for me to believe that Jesus is the Messiah. All right.
Of course.
Let me ask you this question. Is it okay for me to believe that the whole Bible, Old and New, is the Word of God, unquestionable, fundamentally, that, in other words, is it okay for me to believe the whole Bible?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Okay. Christian nationalism is a belief that our forefathers died for me to be able to believe. It is a belief that God is involved. Now, see, I've met some atheists. I would call them partial atheists. It's not that they don't believe in a creator somewhere, not that they don't believe in a designer, okay, but they don't believe that designer is intricately involved, in the happenings of nations and people and stuff like that.
Sure. All right.
So a Christian nationalist believes that God, Yahweh, created the world. Then it says in the book of Genesis that he separated the nations, divided the 70 nations. And then over in the book of Judges, and he installed kings, political leaders on thrones. And then over in Daniel has visions from God about world empires with presidents and leaders. And so this forms in the believer's mind the belief that you say we have a right to believe.
Oh, Professor, I think we've lost you. Can you guys hear me still? Because I think you can, but maybe Shane is. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. You guys still there? I'm still here. Oh, maybe something. I'm still here, guys. So, can you guys hear me? Okay, you can still hear me, but Shane has gone. So anyway, okay. Well, sorry. I'm sure Shane will come back in a second. But if you guys have any questions for me, I think Shane's back.
I'll be right back. Hang tight. Perfect time for my computer to go to sleep on me.
Yeah, no, no worries, no worries. I'm still here.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
Hang tight, folks. We'll be right back. You could sing a song for them, keep them entertained.
I can't sing like you. That's the thing that Shane can do that I can't do. Shane can sing his ass off. No. He and his wife are both good singers, man. They can break it down,
She's
but
better than me, and she is amazing. She's watching right now, so
absolutely. No, I watch every weekend. I watch I watch all the time, and you guys can pick it up and put it down. I'll tell you that.
Brother. We love to do it. We love to do it. So pick up with that frame of thinking where you think Christian nationalism is so wrong. And I think what I'm wanting to show you tonight is why we believe. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Donald Trump. Okay.
Sure.
How could Christians believe that a man as bad as Donald Trump is in many areas, how could we ever throw our hat in the ring with a man like that. You know, I know what he's done, grabbing women by the. I know. Okay,
Yeah.
so, and are we back?
Yeah, turn your speaker up.
Turn my speaker back. Okay, turn my speaker up. All right, got it. Okay, so pick up right there. Let's have that conversation for a little while tonight.
So it's not that I think that there's anything wrong with a Christian, voting for Donald Trump, because I don't have a problem with that. I mean, you do what you want to do with your vote. It's okay. But what I have a problem with, I guess, is the idea that he is somehow one of you, like he actually cares about your religious beliefs, because I don't think he does. And I mean, look, that's just a matter of opinion. So you can say, hey, I think he does, and I can say I think he doesn't, and we can just disagree on that, and that's okay. I get along with that.
I think we compare that with statements from people like Obama that said we cling to our guns and our God, and we're like, you know what?
Sure.
We have to figure out who, So it's choices for us, and Donald Trump. And I want to get on a great subject that you brought up in your text. By the way, is my volume? No, it's still messed up.
Your mic is not on or something.
The mic is not on.
Well,
It's so low. That's because when my computer froze, I tell you what, let's turn it all the way up. We'll just blast them out of here. We're at a rock concert here. Let's see. All right.
What was the last rock concert you saw, Professor?
I've never been to a rock concert in my life.
Never? Come on, man. You must have been. What's your favorite rock and roll band?
Right.
Like, come on.
Tell
the fans. They want to know.
Elvis Presley.
Really, Elvis? I mean, you're younger than me. Come on, man. Seriously, you must have one rock show that you wanted to go to that you got to go to and you were psyched about. Come on, tell the kids. We all want to know.
I'm being totally honest with you. I couldn't sing one rock and roll song for you. I don't know rock and roll. Here's why. We grew up in a church where rock and roll was forbidden.
Right.
No
Yeah.
rock and roll. Okay, they're saying my volume.
Well, what are the fans? What's your favorite rock and roll song or rock and roll band? Can we ask the fans?
I'm telling you, I don't have one. I'm telling you, I do not have one. And that's the honest to God's truth. Honest to God. Let me ask you, what's your favorite gospel artist?
My favorite gospel artist is Johnny Cash.
Huh?
Johnny Cash.
That long black train.
Absolutely. Yes. Johnny Cash is my favorite. All-time favorite.
Tight. Everybody's griping about my audio, so give me 1 second. Let me try to reset something. I'll be right back with you.
Yeah.
Any better? Hopefully that's better. If not, we'll just keep on. We'll do the best we can. Oh yeah, Barbie Cavallo says I like old blue eyes. I'm an old soul, Patrick. Very old soul. Very old soul. I really am. Abortion. Let's talk about abortion.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about abortion. Now they say I'm too loud. Okay. So.
Yeah. Now
All
you're
right.
good. Now you're good.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about abortion. You sent me a text.
Yes.
it's a little too loud.
It's too loud. My wife's a woman. You can't please a woman. Now I'm too loud. All right. What's your beef with Donald Trump? I'll tell you what. Let me lead into that.
Sure.
So,
Sure. Go ahead.
okay.
Yep.
Kamala Harris. I don't know if you know this. My mother and you would get along perfectly. She's an ultra liberal. Okay. And I'll never forget when Kamala Harris ran in 2020, she couldn't stand Kamala Harris, my mother. And she is like, Bill Clinton was her like love crush, right? Okay. So, but she couldn't stand Kamala. When Joe Biden ran, she told me, I'll never vote for Kamala, ever, ever, ever. So when Joe Biden dropped out, of course, I'm texting her, right? I'm like, okay, Mom, what about now? And she said, only if she chooses Josh Shapiro. That's the only way I'll vote for her. But anyway, the point I'm making is Kamala, to me, I call her Scamala. And I want to answer a question. A lot of people's like, if you're trying to tone down the rhetoric, Professor Toto, why you call people names? I think it's good to answer that question right now. Okay, there are certain people in the world, and I'm going to see if you agree with this or not, just like Donald Trump, okay? Satire, political cartoons is part of the American way of communicating, and there's a reason for that. When a politician steps up to get in the game, they're no longer a person. They are now a symbol of an institution that does not have a face. It's sort of like the monarchy, you know? The monarchy, if you want to say something to the monarchy, you need to find a face for it. And that face is Queen Elizabeth, was. So Kamala, she affects my life. Now, Greg Locke, Patrick, you as a podcaster don't affect my life at all. Okay, you don't affect my future, my finances, my faith. You don't affect none of that. Kamala does. She is a face of a beast, if you will, that affects my life. So I want my followers to know why we use names in political satire. It is not personal. I give you my word. If Joe Biden knocked on my front door right now, we'd probably sit down and have one of the greatest conversations. He'd be welcome in my home. It is not personal. But for many people, it's personal. I mean, it gets like, I hate these people. So Kamala, Scamala, who never won one vote, give me your thoughts on Scamala. And then, because I think her entire presidency is a scam, I think no one in history's ever won a primary without running for it. I believe they knew she couldn't have won it. They sent Uncle Joe out to get all the delegates, give them to her. Talk to me. Are you a Scamala fan, or where do you stand on her?
That's a lot, man.
Come on.
That's a whole lot. So I'm gonna try and cut through all of that.
Okay.
Stuff, but it's gonna take a minute. So give me a minute, right?
Take your time.
So back when this campaign started, I have to go back previous to when this campaign started. It's that I went and hung around with the Proud Boys and guys before, January 6th and all that stuff, before Kamala Harris or Joe Biden was the candidate. And
did you say you hung around with the Proud Boys?
Yeah, I spent
as a
liberal.
Lot of time. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, as part of the Proud Boys, or what? Explain that situation.
No, I spent. I probably have to explain this to
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
I mean, because my people sitting there thinking, "Oh, he's a former Proud Boy."
Well, that's actually kind of true. Actually,
okay.
I hung out with Joe Biggs and Enrique Tarrio, and all those guys, and to the point where I actually was I had to testify in federal court about what happened on January 6th.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm friends with Joe Biggs and friends with Enrique Tarrio and all those guys, and I can pull up on my phone right now and talk to those guys while they're in the joint, so I can't. But it's whatever.
Hold on, he's coming, guys. Hold on, help's on the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I mean that's important. So anyway, I was there on January 6th. I took a whole lot of photos, and I don't know if Shane, if you can show them, but I've got a whole bunch of photos
Yeah.
that I took that day. So it's difficult to describe how I feel about those guys and
Right.
what happened that day, because I was there, and it's hard. Like, it makes me. It's an emotional situation, right?
Right. Right.
Like, because I care about those guys, and I care about the fact
Things
that
that
they shouldn't be in jail. And it makes me, it upsets me.
That's a pivotal point you just made. I'd like to stay right there. You was there January the 6th, and I was there. Now, as a liberal, okay. And by the way, for me, the first part of that day was one of the most beautiful, patriotic events I'd ever been to. Let's put it this way, I'd never seen an ocean of patriotism. I mean, literally, as far as the eye could see, there for Donald Trump. And so when Trump made his speech, and we all walked down to the Capitol. By the way, that was a long and cold walk, by the way. When we walked down there, I was on the back side. I wasn't on the front side. Of course, I went nowhere near the Capitol. But all that day was so patriotic. It was so nothing like I see described today. And now, of course, just like in Minnesota, when Black Lives Matters was making their voice heard, and you have some idiots that get out of control, okay? I do not judge a whole movement by a fringe. And I think it's so sad how it turned out that day. And I'm so sorry that your friends are in the hammer to the slammer today, because I just believe it was wrong. However, I want to ask you this pivotal question. As a liberal, I want inside your mind, if you were doing a podcast today, why January the 6th was Donald Trump's fault, I need you to tell me and all my followers, and just, you can be honest. Nobody's going to shoot you here. They can't get to you, okay? No, they wouldn't anyway. We got good people. Here's what I heard. You tell me where we misheard. I heard Donald Trump with my own ears. I'm standing there telling us to march to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically.
Right.
I need you to tell me why, and I'll back up. I don't know if you know this or not. Donald Trump was not even scheduled to give a speech that day. Here's how I know that. All of Toto's army was going to meet at the monument at 11 o'clock that morning. All of them. They were there from everywhere. That's where we were going to meet up. When I flew into Washington that night, my phone starts blowing up. My text says, do not meet at the monument in the morning. It's just announced Donald Trump's going to speak. That was the first anybody knew. Donald Trump was nowhere on the schedule to speak that morning. Now, so therefore, Donald Trump, it was not Donald Trump that called me to Washington. It was the Women's Republican that was putting on the event. They sent out an invitation, and we came. So, and all I'm trying to do is show you our way of seeing this, how we see it. We get there. We never hear go attack a building. Now, as you know, I was the first one in America that talked about Mike Pence having the power to cancel the Senate for 7 days. I believe he should have done that until it all got worked out. That's fine. We can debate that in a minute. But I never heard go attack the Capitol. I never heard go and that. So that's how we see it. You tell me how you see it, and let's just see if we can meet somewhere in the middle on this subject, if it was Donald Trump's fault.
So I saw at the end of the Proud Boys March, and this is what I testified to in federal court, right?
Okay.
So we went through the whole, whole rigmarole that this is the end of the role. And this woman started screaming at me because she thought I worked at the Washington Post or whatever, and so
Okay.
started giving me the business. And then all of a sudden, the riot started. I couldn't believe that it actually happened. I thought, no, this is not going to actually take place. And then it went crazy. And I thought, come on, this is going to stop. This isn't going to be a big thing. I'm like, you got to be effing S-ing me. Like, I mean, come on. Like, I don't believe this is really happening. And then it did. And I thought, oh my God, like, I mean, you were there. Like,
Sure.
You understand. Like, why did this happen? Like, how in that holy hell this is insane, isn't it? Like, why did you think? I mean, I'm just asking you, and you don't have to.
Sure.
Ask, but did you think that this really was going to go the way it went? Because I didn't. I thought,
Lord, no.
My God,
Lord, no.
No way.
Not at all. That's not why I showed up. So my question.
I'm not saying it did, but come on, like.
But what I'm asking you is how, you know as well as I do, when crowds get together that large, there is always,
Right.
okay, you know that, I know that.
Yeah.
Always, okay? Emotions are high. We were in the middle of what we believed. I know you don't believe it. We believed it was an election where the rules were changed. It wasn't fair. So these emotions are high. So did I ever think there was a possibility? I do, and I believe. Now, Patrick, I believe that's why Donald Trump, by Nancy Pelosi's own confession now, offered to send 10,000 troops to stop his insurrection. Now, how, my question again, because if I'm wrong, I'll admit it right here. My people will love me after I admit it. How was it Trump? Because what we hear every day on CNN is that Trump caused an insurrection. I'm an American. I believe right now, if I say something and it triggers a bunch of people, I just can't buy into the fact that I'm responsible for their stupid choices. And so how have we gotten to the point? Go ahead.
I don't think there's any reason to convict Donald Trump for insurrection. I don't. Looks like.
Go ahead. You don't think what? I'm sorry, I lost you. Go ahead.
No, I don't think that he should be convicted for insurrection. I don't agree with that.
Thank you, because that has just driven me insane. Thank you for that. I'm
sorry. Well, you're insane in the first place. You don't need my help. But no, I'm only kidding. I'm just kidding with you.
It's the debate without the hate. Come on, brother.
I'm just kidding with you. That's all.
I'm playing. Hold on, my computer's going crazy tonight. I don't know what my computer's doing. Give me 1 second. It has literally lost its mind. So it's a lot like me. Hang tight. I got to lose connection somewhere. Hang tight.
No problem.
Oh, man. What is going on with my computer? Can you hear me or no?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. All right. So we made some progress, I believe. Thank you for answering those questions. Honestly.
We didn't get to abortion though. Let's
go to abortion. So let's pick up there. Hold on. Let me get these people's chats off the screen here. Okay. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Do you mind if whenever I get computer tonight? Hold on 1 second. I don't know what in the world is happening to my computer. Do you mind if we take some questions from the audience? When you.
Oh no, that'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
Excellent.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. So let's go now that we've dealt with January the 6th. Let's go into abortion. You sent me a text where you was hypocritical that we would stand with Trump now that he has come out in favor of what you believe, favor of abortion.
Right.
So pick up with that train of thought and let's discuss that.
Well, I mean, so I'll just make a statement, and then maybe your viewers would like to, argue with me about that or whatever. But I think that Trump does not actually have a specific position on abortion, and so he thought that, hey, if I get Roe versus Wade, overturned, that's the end of what I need to do. But what he didn't understand was that for the actual hardcore, pro-life people in his party, what they just looked at that Roe versus Wade as just a milestone on the way to a national abortion ban, which is what most hardcore abortion people like. That's what they want.
Right.
He didn't really understand that. So once he got it done, he was like, well, why are they so pissed at me? Well, because, that wasn't the end game. That was just a milestone. You're laughing because I'm right. Sure. Right?
No, I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that point. Yeah. Totally.
So if anybody's asking about about this, situation, that's my answer. It's like,
okay.
Well, he didn't really actually know because he's not really actually, pro.
Okay, so I don't believe Donald Trump has ever been total anti-abortion. Right. I'll come up front and be honest with you about that. Now, me as a pastor, if it was up to me, and this was an Islamic country, and I could theocratically rule this nation, we would ban abortion. Okay, because it's from our worldview, it's murder. But let's step back from that position. Many of us understand we're not voting for a pastor. We understand that we've got to get Donald Trump in the White House. We understand that he single-handedly overturned Roe v. Wade by appointing 3 Supreme Court justices. But I was never a fool. I told my class 2 years ago. Do you remember when they asked him if he was for, if he would put a ban federal, and he said no? Well, my audience, many of them went bat crazy. Yeah. And I came here and I said, guys, hold on. The man is trying to win a war. Yeah. He's trying to win a war, and here's what's going to happen.
I understand that. That.
Okay. Well,
politically, that makes a lot of sense to me. I totally.
It does.
But I don't think that. See, you're thinking politically, and I think
right.
A lot of people are thinking ideologically, and they're like, "Well, F you."
But it's my job.
This is not what I want. Yeah.
It's my job as an influencer in our movement to come on this camera and say MAGA.
Hey, man, I get what you're saying. I totally understand.
And my job is to say, hey, MAGA, quit.
It's the victory that you can get.
Let the man win the White House, and then he appoints another Supreme Court justice, and who knows what will happen. But let me just clear something up with you and all of my audience. I am also not, and I'm going to shock a lot of people right now, and I may lose some followers, but I'll tell you what, you're not allowed to do a knee-jerk reaction, none of you. You're required, or you're not going to get 5 golden stars from Professor Toto tonight. You're not allowed to leave class with a knee-jerk reaction. I am also not total anti-abortion. Hang tight. And I'm a pastor, but let me explain why. And you, Patrick, you tell me if we don't meet somewhere in the middle here. I'm against abortion. First of all, it is murder in my mind and God's word. But number 2, I don't like the idea, Patrick, that we can live in a world where you're allowed to make stupid choices with no consequences. Okay? So therefore, I believe free abortion anytime you want it is telling our children, hey, sleep with everybody in town and then just go out there and get rid of the problem. Okay, to me, there is no responsibility in that. So I'm against any abortion where you chose a stupid choice and now you go kill a baby for it. So with that said, I do believe in three exceptions for abortion. Why? If you have been raped or incest, you did not make those choices. They were forced upon you, and therefore you're not getting by with stupid choices with no consequences. Okay, number two, if the life of the mother is in danger, think about this with me, Patrick. We say we don't believe in murder, but if the life of the mother is in danger and taking the child saves the mother, are we not committing abortion or murder in reverse?
We're making a decision on, yeah, I get you. It's a horrible decision, but we're making Sophie's choice.
You have to. You're right. You're exactly right. So you know what? In a perfect world, we would have no abortions. Okay, right. Get it? All right. We don't live there. However, Patrick, let's go to your side now. Let's go to the liberal side. Abortion, on demand, up to the time of birth, blah, blah, blah. I mean, talk about that.
I don't believe in that. So,
okay.
So I can make my it's easy to make my position on abortion all right. In the first trimester, I believe that somebody should be able to have their,
Right. What's that, the first 15 weeks?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
They should be able to make their decision. I think once it gets to second, what we call late trimester abortion, I'm not comfortable with that. Right?
Let's pick up right there. So let me ask you this. Will you give Kamala a pass or not, as a liberal, for what I believe is lying on President Trump? She said today, and I heard her, that if we vote for Trump, that he is going to implement a ban on abortion. Is that true or not true?
Well, this is goofy because he doesn't want to ban the Florida, ban. He's going to vote against that.
Right.
Like, that's six weeks, which most women don't even know that they're, okay. So that's ridiculous. I don't agree with that. You get to the later terms, and no, I seriously, I mean, this is complicated. You know what I mean?
Right. But I think what I'm trying to drive at here, the statement is made that Donald Trump, if you vote for Trump, let me show you. If you don't mind. By the way, let me talk about Veronica's comment here. She said the decision should be not to sleep with the guy. You're exactly right. That's why I said my only exceptions.
I just
go ahead.
Go ahead. I think that deciding who has sex with who is out of my business. Like I just don't. I don't know. I understand everybody's got the right to an opinion.
Right. That's true.
Fine. That's fine.
That's true. If you go plant a seed out in the front yard, Patrick, a tree's coming up. Okay. So I think there's got to be some moral responsibility. And here's okay.
It's not that I don't agree with you on that.
Right.
It's just that I think that we, this is a really serious situation.
It is.
We shouldn't be glib about it.
And I also don't think we should be lying about it to where, okay, for example, Kamala knows she's got to get the female vote. And they're telling Donald Trump's going to ban abortion. You know it's not true. I know it's not true. And I think what I'm asking is, and I agree with you, Veronica, the woman knew that. That was her choice. That's why I've only allowed for rape and incest, because she didn't make that choice. Now, With that said, where you just told me a while ago, and I believe this is why Donald Trump, 2 years ago, when they were trying their best to get him to commit to an abortion ban, he outsmarted them. Two years ago, he knew this moment was coming, and he did not want a soundbite of him supporting it. And right now, Donald Trump is in a position to where I believe the vast majority of America, I'm going to tell you, Patrick, I don't believe the vast majority of America is for abortions past a very reasonable amount of time.
Well, what do you think is a reasonable amount of time? That's the question.
Okay. That is a question. I believe viability, for me personally, as a Christian, as a minister, if it was not rape or incest through no fault of your own, I believe that life begins when the seed, if I drop a seed in the ground outside, when it hits that soil, fermentation begins.
Let's talk about weeks.
Okay.
Let's talk about weeks. Like, what do you think about? Because that's what we have to do, right? That's
true. That's true.
If we're gonna pass a law, it's got to be weeks. So what weeks would you say?
Well, you can't ask me because I'm a minister. I'm not making the law. I'm the voice of the church. The church says you choose to go sleep with a man, make a baby. You don't have a right to murder that potential life. But as a lawmaker, I know that's not going to fly. Okay, I get that.
As a lawmaker, where would you go?
I would definitely not a moment past the first trimester. Not a moment past first trimester.
Okay.
What is that? 12 weeks?
Talking about 6 weeks. Yeah.
6 weeks. In other words, that would be, as a lawmaker, that's as far as I would go. As a minister, I wouldn't go that far.
Here's the thing about.
Okay.
I just want to make my position very clear on abortion, so that people who are listening right now.
Yes, sir.
Right. I think it's perfectly understandable for you to disagree with me.
Yes, sir.
Abortion, right? I understand that people believe that life begins at conception. I understand that. I don't agree with that.
Sure.
But I understand it. It's not an unreasonable position. It's not crazy, right?
Do we have the right to believe that?
Of course you do.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You have the right to believe that. I don't agree with you, but okay. Like
Patrick, a question. If I have a right to believe that and I say that, okay, do I have the right to, in the public world, say that without being a misogynist?
No.
See what I'm, that's, okay.
You have the right to say that, right? I disagree with it, but hey,
sure.
Whatever. But I do understand why you think that. I really do.
Great.
I get it. Like, I disagree with it.
Yes, sir.
So what we can do, what we should do, is have a reasonable political argument about whether a fetus is a person and all that stuff. And we used to be able to do that. But
that's right.
for some reason, in the last, 20 years, we've started talking about weird things like, hey, your friend Greg Locke, about witchcraft, and sacraments to Moloch, and these are ridiculous things. These are silly things. I mean, seriously, this is bullshit. And I'm like, come on, man.
I have children. I have children watching. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
No, I didn't mean to curse, but
you're good. Go ahead.
I shouldn't have. But this is ridiculous. So, and I'm like, come on, man. Like, we can do better than this. Like, we can disagree without calling each other, without saying Moloch. I mean, really?
Okay.
Like that's the nonsense that we're
okay. Let's so let's pause there. Let's talk about that.
So now you can.
No. I want to pause because I think you just nailed something that I want to dig into. Now, Greg Locke says that when you have an abortion, you're sacrificing your child to Moloch. Is that what you're referring to?
A lot. Yeah.
Okay. Now here's my question, Patrick. You from your own mouth, he has the right to believe that that's what we're doing. In other words, in the Bible, in our Bible, there was in the land of Israel, they would bring their children, throw them in the fire to Moloch. So he's comparing what he believes people are doing with their unborn children. So as much as it might be triggering, welcome to America. In other words, I don't believe that should make us, that's what the man believes. You know?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I mean, it's okay that he.
Now that's where we disagree. I don't believe it's ridiculous. For example, I don't believe I don't believe that a lot of things, some things I say people think are ridiculous, but you know what? That in your mind it is. But Greg Locke, his religious belief is that you're giving your children the same as they did to Moloch. So unfortunately, I have to defend that ability to say that.
Do you think that's reasonable to think that, like, a woman who makes a decision, that I can't afford this kid and whatnot, makes a horrible, tough decision.
Sure.
Is actually sacrificing her child to a ridiculous thing that doesn't exist, Moloch? Like, you must know. You're a smart guy, man.
I am, but I also know that in America, you have a right to your religious belief. In the Bible, it talks about Moloch. And hey, I understand. I probably wouldn't say it the way Greg said it, but that's what he believes. And I think for you to say you can't say that. Well, yeah, you can. That's what you believe. You can say
it. I'm just saying.
Right.
I can say that it's ridiculous.
Right. And I believe, except for rape and incest, here's what
that's fine.
I would say
that I get. Like, I really do. I understand that.
Fundamental Christianity says if God's word says it, we believe it. Okay. Now to enter the liberal mind.
Have you read your Bible?
Say it again.
Have you read your Bible?
I have.
Okay. So have I. Right?
Okay.
Because my father made me.
Yes, sir.
My Bible, right? When I was a kid, right. So we've both read our Bible and we've both read the gospel, and
okay.
That's cool. So I accept that, right?
Yes, sir.
I remember hearing Jim Bakker saying that he never actually read the Bible all the way through until he was in prison, right?
That doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't surprise anybody because he said it 40 years ago. But what I'm saying is, people who actually care about the gospel and who have written it. I really do believe that you're one of these people who's actually read the damn thing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I just think that there are so many people who haven't.
I agree.
They just like reading Daniel and Elijah, and then skip all the way to Revelation, and that's it. That's their whole Bible for them. I don't think that's a good idea, man.
I don't either.
I really think if you have not read the gospel of Jesus Christ, you're not a real Christian. And if you don't read the gospel, you obviously don't care about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And you better.
I'm glad to hear he's your Lord and Savior. That just made my night. I heard the word hour in there, my friend. I love it.
All right. Well, hey, it was really nice to talk to you.
Oh, you're leaving me? Are you leaving me? We're just getting started, my friend.
No, I know. Well,
no, I'm kidding. No, we only have a few more minutes, but let's move to something else I wanted to discuss with you. I wanted to talk about something that is a lot lighter. I want to talk about the First Amendment with you.
Sure.
The separation of church and state.
Oh.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. You asked me if I've read the Bible, and I have. By the way, I believe the Bible is so much more than the gospel of Jesus. I believe it's the Torah, the law, the prophets, the gospel, and the Pauline epistles, the whole Bible. So let me ask you this, and I don't want to offend you with this because you're a smart man. Have you read the Constitution? I'm talking about inside and out.
Yeah, it only takes
Okay.
about 15 minutes.
That's true. That's true. It's like that little. Okay. All right. So there is this from liberals. I get it all the time. I heard it. You talk about it on your show about this great separation of church and state, even though it's mentioned nowhere in the Constitution.
Right.
But
No, it
it's
is.
alluded to. It's alluded to. I get it. Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you know, and if you do, I don't want to belabor the point, do you understand that at the Philadelphia Convention, all of the colonies had state-sponsored churches in those states? Are you aware of that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Like, for example, in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Plymouth,
I live
it
in
was
Massachusetts,
it
yeah.
was they literally had tax-funded state churches. Virginia had the Episcopal Church. South Carolina, Georgia, the Church of England. Maryland was the Episcopal. And the states literally realized, Patrick, every government in the history of the world has seen the value of religion, the Christian faith. And here's why. It keeps people in check. And eventually, a government can't do it, especially.
I wrote about it, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I believe they said religion was created to control the masses. And when they tell me that, I look at them and I'm like, and is controlling the masses a bad thing? Go. In other words, have you ever seen the masses out of control? It's not good. So all governments, that's why churches today are tax exempt. All governments understand that without Judeo-Christian values, which our nation was built on, no matter what anybody says, they were built on them. Without them, you cannot have a republic, because the law of the land, without a fear of the law, you'll never have a rule of law. Then you have to have a despot, a Hitler, a North Korea, blah, blah, blah. So here's the question. I'm not trying to preach. I'm trying to ask this question. Those states, when they came together at the convention, each state, the taxes was paying the preacher. The taxes was paying to have religion in their state, to keep the people in line, if you will. So the federal government, if they would have established a national church, for example, let's say they established the Baptist Church as the National Church of America. Well, the congregational churches in the colonies, the Plymouth, the Calvinist churches, there would have been now had a national church over them, and the states just said, hey, we don't want a national church. And from that agreement between the federal government, because after the First Amendment, the states still had their state-sponsored churches. There was an agreement not to have a national church. So with all of that history lesson, and that can be Googled and proved and verified, why does the liberals demand that in other words, this no church, no state, when that's not how America was founded? I'd like for you to respond to that.
Well, I think it's fairly obvious that the First Amendment states that there shall be no
establishing a church.
So I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I don't understand what you're saying.
The point I'm making.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Okay.
it's sort of silly. Like, I mean,
Well, no, it wasn't. For example, the only reason we have that clause is the federal government had to guarantee the states they would not interfere with a national church.
You're making that decision.
Okay.
The wording of it, and this is one of the funny things, like, right? So people like say, well, the Second Amendment, it says there shall be no infringement.
Right.
But the First Amendment, they're like, well, we can make a couple of infringements, maybe if we want to. Oh,
Right.
Yes. Like, so no, it strictly says there shall be no,
That's correct.
establishment of religion. So you're gonna.
That's
have
fact, and nor any infringement on the free exercise thereof. And that's why during COVID, when we were told we couldn't worship, we was like, you know what? Let's not 1776 all over again. You can't infringe on that right to worship. Now, With that said, I really believe with all my heart that there's this needless war between liberals and conservatives that I think is totally misunderstood. I told the story about the state churches because 95% of the people watching me tonight, and I guarantee you 98% of your liberal friends are clueless of that story, that America had state-sponsored churches in all of her history until the federal government was a threat to those state churches, and they made an agreement they were not going to have a national church that would interfere with state churches. So the question is, whenever, Benjamin Franklin made the first seal of Israel crossing the Red Sea as the seal of the United States of America, to say that we were not founded with these I just don't believe that as being honest. And to call us Christian nationalists, we would argue that the vast majority of our founders were Christian nationalists. So you tell me what you believe Christians should be involved in, should not be involved in. As a liberal, where do we cross the line? How about that?
I don't think that there's any, line that Christians can't cross that they would, get involved in, in political life. I can tell you this. I can tell you a story. Do we have time?
Yeah. I got all night, son. I'm a night owl.
All right. So, my pastor when I was a kid was he was a really interesting guy. He took his vow of poverty in a way that almost nobody else ever did. Like this guy had no possessions at all, to the point where my father had to actually go and pick him up when his car broke down, constantly. And he taught at my school, and he had this ratty, old, sweater, and he had no money. And my grandmother, who I loved more than anybody in the world, she died. She was 82 years old. And when she passed, they didn't have enough money at St. Teresa's to actually heat the place. So we had to pay for it. She was there serving the soup kitchen and all this stuff the entire time. I was an altar boy when I was a kid. This parish was our family. Ray had to tell us that he couldn't pay to keep the place open. So we paid the heat bill because we had to.
Yeah.
And so I can tell you, as somebody who's an atheist, I loved my parish. I love my, all those kids and all those people, as much as I possibly could. And so.
Patrick, I believe the church, the parish, whatever you prefer to call it, is the greatest thing on the earth. And I really, it breaks my heart because I was raised in the church like you were, had a great grandmother that loved the Lord, taught me the principles of the Bible. And, I've made some great mistakes in my life. My story's out there all over the internet.
But that's not important, man. I want to say that real fast. You've made mistakes and paid for them, and I don't give a damn about any of that. That's not important. We can talk about whatever, but that's not important.
Thank you, brother.
because a lot of people are gonna want to say, "Oh, well, he did this and he did that, whatever." You paid your debt to society, and
Thank
as
you.
far as I'm concerned, it's done and over with.
Thank you, my brother. Hey, Patrick, the people are loving it. Let's do it again real soon, okay?
All right, I appreciate it, man.
Hey, before you go, I don't want to force it on you, but we always end in a word of prayer. Is that okay with you?
Of course it is.
Okay, all right. Father, we thank you tonight for this conversation. We thank you for everyone watching us tonight. I thank you for my guest, Patrick. Father, I ask you tonight for your Holy Spirit to rest upon everyone watching, including our guest, and that you would lead and guide his steps, my steps, everyone's steps here tonight as we walk in this world that seems to be growing darker every day. We ask you to fill it with the love of Christ in all of our hearts. And I pray tonight that you bless Patrick. I pray that you bless his family, that you would just lead him and guide him into your pathways and whatever path you have designed for his life. And for everyone watching tonight, that they would all be blessed for having watched this broadcast. In the name of your Son, Yeshua Jesus, we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you, my brother. It's good to talk to you tonight.
All right, thanks, Shane.
God bless you, Patrick. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you debate without the hate. And I thank Patrick for joining me tonight. I thank him for taking the time.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I'd thank my lucky stars to be living here today.
'Cause this flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
Defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land.
God bless the USA.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea,
From Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA,
where there's fire